Hi there, my name is Kirsty Parkinson. I work for the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply as the Assessment Development Manager, and I'm going to be talking you through the Level 5 syllabus update that we did earlier in the year that will be first assessed in March 2025. So let's start by talking about the process that we used in completing this review. We looked at the exam data, we talked to tutors, we talked to students, we looked at what's happening in practice in order to review the syllabus. It's a mid-cycle review, so it's not wholesale changes that we might do when we introduce a brand new syllabus. It's really just refining and tweaking what we have to make sure it's as effective as it possibly can be. So as with the changes that we did to level 4, there's no change to the total qualification. The guided learning hours are still the same at 250. The self-study requirement is still the same at 335 hours. And once you've done all of the exams for level 5, the total exam time is 15 hours. So let's have a quick look at the overview of the changes. We've updated the language so it's more globally focused. In L5M1 we've moved from 5 learning outcomes down to 4. At L5M4 we've introduced some new content about the evaluation of performance measures, and we've included ESG, so environmental and social governance, as we did at level 4. And we've tweaked the running order within each module so that the teaching and the learning journey is just as logical and as smooth as it can be. So a quick overview of the changes to L5M1. There are, as I said, now 4 learning outcomes. So learning outcomes 1, 2 and 3 are still the same, although there's some tweaks to the content within that. Learning outcome 4 as was, which was all about human resource management, that has gone. So learning outcome 5 now becomes learning outcome 4. You can see there's a slight change to the wording, the assess and the application and management concepts and principles in procurement and supply. So not much change to learning outcome 1 of this module. It's mostly a reordering of content. 1.1 now includes organisational structure, whereas it did say organisational context. So just a slight clarification of the wording. 1.3.6 now includes distributed leadership, which is a style that hadn't previously been included. Learning outcome 2 will be more closely aligned to the new content in the learning outcome 4. It's all about knowledge, the changes here, so how it's created and codified, the organisational requirements and the resources for effective learning. We've included some content about things like curiosity and motivation, the benefits of learning, those theories of motivation, and also collaboration and teamwork. So in learning outcome 3, it's mainly the condensing of the assessment criteria and some update of language, and you'll find some context in there about the case for disbanding or merging teams and the methods to manage that change. And so finally, let's look at L5M1 LO4, which is about the application of management concepts and principles. You'll be assessing the alignment of procurement and supply knowledge, skills and behaviours to the organisational strategy. You'll be evaluating how that builds trust with stakeholders. You'll also learn about the importance of learning and the development of personal behaviours which support the effective procurement and supply activities. So the thing to remember here, if you're familiar with L5M1 and the fact that it used to have 5 examination questions in the test. It's now 4 to reflect the number of learning outcomes. So as with most of the other constructed response modules, each question will be worth 25 marks, and you'll have 1 question per learning outcome. So moving on to L5M2, which is all about managing supply chain risk. As we mentioned, we've built in ESG to this module, so the environmental, social and governance considerations, which you will see in 1.4. In 2.4 you'll see some clarification around the definitions and purpose of disaster recovery and business continuity planning, and crucially the importance of testing those plans. And then in learning outcome 3 there's just been some condensing going on with 3.3 and 3.4 being incorporated into 1 assessment criteria around risk management culture. So on to L5M3, managing contractual risk. It's mainly just a language clarification, but do note that force majeure has been added. In learning outcome 2, thing to note is that novation and the use of liquidated damages and provisions has also been added. And then in learning outcome 3, there's been some clarification around the nuance of non-performance of a contract versus a breach of contract. And so on to L5M4, the advanced contract and financial management, where there are a few more changes comparatively. So again, we've introduced ESG into learning outcome 1. In learning outcome 2, you'll see some new content there, particularly in 2.3, where we've introduced more explicit techniques and the need to perform calculations. In learning outcome 3, 3.1, pay attention to the project funding options and the use of weighted average cost of capital. The need for calculation and evaluation has also been added to the assessment criteria in 4.1. So you can expect when it comes to your examination that there will be a need to perform calculations. There is a calculator that is built in within the software that you undertake your examination, so that's available to you, as well as the capacity to make some notes as well. So of course L5M5 is heavily focused on ESG. It is the ethical procurement and supply module. Previously this module talked about corporate social responsibility, and ESG is very similar to this. It's really an evolution of that. So it now uses the same language as all the other modules of environmental, social and governance. So naturally the study guides have been updated to reflect all these changes, so you see all the new content in those, and very much the global focus. You see all of the new sections on ESG. You'll also see that where previously we numbered the learning outcomes and then the assessment criteria, and then what we refer to as the indicative content was a bullet pointed list. That bullet pointed list is now also numbered just to help you navigate more smoothly through those study guides. The modules and the infographics have been reviewed and updated along with the brand. Do remember that you need to read wider than the study guides. You need to read other information. You can look at the CIPS website to read content there. You can also look at supply magazines in the industry, and you can look at other academic content to just make sure you've got a really rounded knowledge. Remember to go from the syllabus, which is information that is free to download on the website. Use that to make sure you are fully informed on all of the content and you've had a really good wider reading around all of that content. It then just remains for me to say the very best of luck with your learning and of course with your assessment and with the remainder of your journey in the procurement profession and with your CIPS qualification.